I don't know about y'all, but there have been seasons and time after time where sometimes I'm like, Lord, I do not understand what you're doing here. It's especially in those seasons where you just feel like the Lord is taking away, taking away, taking away. And it's just like, I know that you called me and I know what you've promised, and yet you're doing all this, or like you're allowing things to be taken away, and it just does not make sense. And it's easy for us to assume that we're only blessed by the quantity of the things that we have. And so when the Lord takes away or allow things to leave your life, you're just like, am I no longer blessed? Like, it just doesn't make sense. But the Lord has assured me time and time again that it is never about quantity, but it is always about quality. And it's that continuous act of faith that I'm going to fix my eyes on the Lord regardless of the situation around me. That I'm going to take up every thought captive and make it obedient to Christ, knowing that He is in control. That I am blessed not by what He's given me, but by who He is, and that my life is in His hands. So no matter what, I'm good, and all the glory will go to God. And whatever God has for you, whatever He has spoken, it will come to fruition, because my God is a promise keeper. My God is all knowing. My God is victorious, and my God is for me, not against me. So what I'm going to do is not lean on my own understanding, but to trust my God. What I'm going to do is to be still and know who my God is, that He is God. He is the Most High, that He's victorious, that He's all knowing, that He is my Father, that He is my friend. And the thing about God is that He sets it up in such a way that it just blows your mind every time. What seems impossible, what seems like doesn't make sense at all, doesn't make sense at all and is impossible, but not for our God. So we're going to grab our Bibles, our handy dandy Bibles, and turn to Judges 7, where our minds will be blown. So I definitely recommend you read Judges 6 before you read Judges 7, because that will explain who Gideon is. And long story short, Gideon is this guy who comes from the weakest family in the village, and it considers him the weakest in that family. And yet the Lord calls him mighty warrior. He calls him by who He created him to be. So after Gideon is convinced that the Lord has truly called him, he gets him and his men, and they prepare to go fight the Midianites. So Judges 7:2, the Lord said to Gideon, "You have too many men. I cannot deliver Midian into their hands, or Israel would boast against me. My own strength has saved me." So another side note, the Israelites had been under oppression by the Midianites because the Lord gave them to them after the Israelites continued to worship other gods and not listen to the Lord. So could they have defeated the Midianites if they had 32,000 men? Probably, but then they wouldn't be standing right with God, because God knows that then they would take the glory. And no, it's not, the glory is not go to us, goes to the Lord. So instead of 32,000 men, 22,000 men left, and only 10,000 remained. But God continues to take more away. And He says, "There are still too many men. Take them down to the water, and I will thin them out for you there. If I say, 'This one shall go with you,' he shall go. But if I say, 'This one shall not go with you,' he shall not go." So Judges 7:7 says, "The Lord said to Gideon, 'With the 300 men that lapped, I will save you and give the Midianites into your hands. Let all the others go home.'" You can just imagine Gideon right now, like, "Lord, what? I know you called me to defeat these Midianites, so I brought my men with me. Now you're taking them all away. You're allowing them to leave. What is going on? How are we going to defeat them now with just 300 men plus Gideon?" I guess it's 301. Sorry to break the ending, but the Lord did what He said He was going to do, and He gave the Midianites into the hands of Gideon and his men, 300 of them. So not only did God keep His promise, but He set it up so that Gideon and the Israelites can remain humble, that they would not go against the Lord like they've been doing, and that what they've been doing is how they got into the oppressive situation that they were in. So yes, maybe Gideon's family is the weakest in the village, and Gideon is the weakest among his family. Yes, he was fearful. Yes, he kept asking for sign after sign to make sure, like, God, are you sure you want to use me? And yes, after Gideon was called by the Lord to go and defeat the Midianites, the Lord then took away his men and allowed them to leave. Like, Gideon was probably like, okay, what did I do wrong? But there is nothing that Gideon could have done to stop the Lord's plan and purpose to prevail. So if we were to judge Gideon by the things that he has to validate whether or not he had been chosen by the Lord, whether or not he has been blessed by the Lord, then yeah, we would be saying, you got all your men taken away, they left, you must not be blessed by the Lord. Did he even call you? But when we fix our eyes on the Lord and what he said, he called him mighty warrior. He chose him to defeat the Midianites. And so that's what's going to happen. That is the truth. Gideon is blessed, not because of what he has or what he doesn't have, but because God blessed him. Because God called him. Because God says so. So no matter your situation, your circumstance, remember that it is quality, not quantity. And what gets more quality than to have the Lord, who is holy, who is righteous, who is victorious, who is King of Kings, Lord of Lords, be by your side? That's all quality, baby.